What is up, my dudes, and welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy the video today, consider subscribing for more content like it. In today's video, I want to go over the recent announcement of the restart of the Metroid Prime 4 project, what this means, what should be expected at this point, and why this has me pretty excited. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Metroid fan and an even bigger Prime fan, so when I heard the news, I was initially really disappointed. Our 2019 Metroid Prime game was now going to be delayed until an untold date. So I fully get the frustration, and to be honest, Nintendo, I really wish you had figured this out sooner. In fact, I remember when I originally found out that Retro Studios wasn't involved, it raised some flags for me. This is not to say that Retro couldn't benefit from the help of a more prominent developer like Namco, Capcom, or better yet, a Western developer like Bethesda, Activision, or Rockstar. After all, Metroid is more of a Western market favorite, so it would only make sense. What this may mean is that Nintendo has a very specific idea of what they want to produce, which is exciting to know. Rarely does one come out to deliver a message bound to disappoint with such passion for the players. And yet I left very hopeful that we were going to be given something extraordinary, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. Either way, it took guts for Nintendo and Mr. Takahashi to make the video, knowing it may be sorely received. Mad respect for him. This also means that the original studio responsible for the Prime series will be developing it, which makes me very happy, because if anyone deserves to, it's Retro. They have a way with design that is so unique to them that I was worried Prime 4 was going to lose any flavor imparted on the games by Retro. But there is a downside to this. Retro, as much as I love them and believe in them to once again pick up the mantle, haven't worked on a Metroid Prime game in over 10 years, and have only worked on Donkey Kong games, which were great, but does have me a little weary. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Retro also had a fairly substantial involvement in the creation of Mario Kart 7, which is arguably one of the best Mario Karts out there. But you can see why I would be a little worried. It doesn't help knowing that key members have left since the trilogy was put on the Wii back in 2009. So there's that, but if their work over the years has shown us anything, it's that they still possess the style, essence, quality, and attention to detail that we know and love them for. There is comfort in knowing this. I'm excited to see what Retro Studios has in store for gamers. Okay, so we've talked about the change in developer to one that we can agree is a great choice, and honestly should have been the only choice. But that's only half the equation. It would have been a quarter of the equation, but Retro's previous knowledge bumped them up. Now I'd like to turn your attention to the blank canvas that is Metroid Prime 4. There's no telling what elements, if any, will make it from the previous project into this game. But one thing is certain, Retro and Nintendo have a long time to make something worthy of this franchise, unless by some miracle Retro knows right off the bat what they want to do, which is a best case scenario. In this case, we could maybe have a release for winter 2020. Worst case scenario, we're looking at a 2021 or 2022 release. But I really hope that Mr. Takahashi saw this coming ahead of time and had already started the cogs moving at Retro before making the announcement. With this blank canvas, however, we will look at what we can and should expect from Metroid Prime 4, Nintendo, and Retro. The variables we have to consider are time, which we have already gone over, and technology. We can be certain that Retro, in the smallest window of time, will be able to produce something great, but the technology they will be developing for is still a bit of a question. No doubt it will be for the Switch, but which model of the Switch will it be built for? After all, 2019 is the rumored release year of a new version of the Switch. Maybe it's a more powerful version, or just a smaller iteration, or maybe both. But in the case of a more powerful situation, I could hope that the game would be built with this new architecture in mind, and outsource a company like Panic Button to implement the changes needed to accommodate the old system. Same game, mind you, but maybe the new Switch version would need an update patch. But even if that's wishful thinking, the Switch as is has the potential to make a huge jump over the last installment on the Wii. The Wii being just over half the power of the original Xbox. Then with the Wii U making the jump into HD, and now the Switch, a console that's easily twice as powerful as its predecessor when docked. So there is no excuse for an experience that doesn't captivate. There is another angle in terms of tech that not many talk about: virtual reality. It's an incredibly popular market that is growing. I have seen the light while playing a friend's PSVR a couple months after the Switch came out. But I had already started churning ideas of Nintendo VR because of Nintendo's interest in creating a theme park. Virtual Boy and Virtual Boy Color came to mind many times. Nintendo even expressing their interest in VR experiences. But I had to expect the fact that the Switch couldn't power a headset on its own power alone. So I feel one of two things will happen. One, we get the super-powered Switch we all dream about, or two, Nintendo creates an incredible headset complete with its own guts for power and only really needs the Switch as a brain. One of the major reasons I'm adamant on Nintendo exploring VR is because of the Joy-Cons. They are some of the most feature-rich controllers ever made. So much hidden potential that it screams VR. The Nintendo Labo Variety Kit gave me a small glimpse of that greatness, but let's keep it simple for this video's purpose. Most VR experiences rely on two major components to be fun. Aside from graphical stability, they rely on responsiveness because motion controls suck when they suck, and a sense of tactile feedback, whether through how good it feels to shoot in Farpoint or how awesome it is to dodge bullets and throw bottles in Superhot. I feel the Joy-Cons would be a dream if programmed properly for a VR experience. And in terms of feedback, we know Nintendo has the peripherals, but the HD rumble in the Joy-Cons has me so much more excited for a Nintendo VR experience. It has proven to me many times that the subtle nature of HD rumble is able to recreate so much sensory detail that in a VR experience could be amazing. Which brings me back to Metroid Prime 4. What better Nintendo game could you imagine in VR with those Joy-Cons aiding the experience? Maybe the VR headset could have HD rumble prudently placed throughout the device to increase immersion. Close your eyes for a minute and just imagine landing on Talon 4, feeling the raindrops on your head and in your Joy-Cons, walking under a waterfall, or blasting a bug and getting Beetlejuice all over you. Could you just imagine that kind of feedback in a virtual reality setting? Could be intensely awesome, in my opinion. Okay guys, that does it for this video, but don't despair, for this is only part 1. Check the description below for part 2, where rather than discussing what we can expect, we talk about all the things we should expect from Metroid Prime 4. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and share. It's always appreciated. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this announcement and what you're expecting from Metroid Prime 4. If you're even excited for Metroid Prime 4, and if you've ever played the Metroid Prime series, I definitely recommend a playthrough if you've never tried it. See you in the next video, my friends.